All right. Raquel, Richard Bass, how are we?
Good. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. We're going to jump right into stats today. I'm Matt Pitts filling in for Brett Caldwell here with Rick and Richard. So usually we jump right into looking over what the stats are, but Brett's not in charge today. I get to monitor the keyboard. So I thought I'd show a few things off, guys. Inside the stat site, so if you're not familiar with our stat site that we bring up every week, the realestatestats.com, it is, I'll post it here later so you can grab it. But it has all the stats that we've been working on. We usually go week to week and go through the stats and look at it. You can grab that anytime. But I wanted to show off a couple cool features that have been added recently if you haven't seen. And if you look at the left side, the widgets are over here, and you can see I have access to kind of all of them. You may too, but Florida's up here. We usually go to weekly stats. But I wanted to point out this a big thing right now is pricing and getting people to the right price and getting homes sold. And I wanted to point out a few charts that have been added over the last month. Richard and Rick, you can chime in if you've seen these before, but the 2026 quarter two seller pricing conversation. Again, you click on stats, you go down to pricing charts, and you get these beautiful charts for Q2. And I just did Broward and all types. And what it gives you is all kind of great stuff. One in particular, I can't wait to show you. But it basically says Broward County versus the whole market. Whichever county you choose, it will show you what is happening against the state at that point. And you can see Broward County, for example, in Q2 2026 this year had 16,000 active listings. And last Florida statewide had 50%, but we were down 26% from 2025 in active listings. So it just gives you a comparison year over year and all the things from failed listings to median sales price, all the great stuff. Then it gives you view number two, a price band report card, which gives you the year over year change in every metric and price for Broward County, which is great. Lots of green here, shows you where we're up or down. And then it gives you to the old famous chart of the two paths to getting a home sold. And this is where I think it's valuable information, the next three charts that we can show off. But the first one, Richard, is that in Q2 in Broward County, there were almost 7,000 closings, and 94% of original lists achieved 45 days median on price. Now, those 6,800 listings, no price reduction was required, 56%, and they got 97% of original market price, and they sold in 19 days. And 3,000 or 44% of homes on the market sold had a price reduction, and those sold at 89% of original list price, and they spent 100 days on the market. So Broward specific, it literally pulls everything from just that county and prices it out. And I'm going to go into a few more. But Rick, when you see that chart, do you think you could use that in a listing presentation?
Absolutely. It just points to the reality that if you price and position properly, your chances of winning are in alignment with a great market, not a challenged market.
Love
And
that.
even if you don't, if you price correct and make adjustments, 90 days, I mean, a balanced market is 5 to 6 months. And so that still points to a winning proposition on your part as a real estate professional.
Absolutely. That's spot on. View number four, what happens to every 100 listings in Broward County? All price bands here. And I'll get to the hands raised. Just let me get through a few things. And it shows you in a different format, 72 of every 100 listings started above what the market would pay. So 49 never sold, 23 had to take a cut. It shows a visual of the reds that failed, 49, the yellows that sold, but only after a price reduction, 23, and 28 of those had no price reduction at all. So just a different way of showing it. The fourth way of showing it is out of 100, it breaks it down in this chart. You guys get the point there. It does it by price point. But what I wanted to show you was view 6, which is the cost of testing the market. And what this allows you to do is, let's just say, Rick, you got $1 million property and you think it should be sold at 950. And the mortgage on that, I'm just throwing up numbers here, 5,200. Let's say you've also got taxes at 1,100, utilities at, I'm guessing these are, yeah, monthly, 800, and you got an HOA of 500. So whatever that is, this calculator automatically allows you to plug in your numbers on a live listing presentation and say, hey, here's where we're at if we test the market, which I believe we should be at price it right the first time. At test the market, we're averaging 89.4%. If you remember, that's the number for Broward County. If you don't test and price it right, we're at 97. Remember, pricing it right is 19 days, 98 days, but it gives you a carry-in cost avenue here. So sales difference, 29,000, 79 fewer days on market. Carrying costs to carry that property is around 20,000. And Rick and Richard used to write all this out in hand. Some of you may do that too now. But it's a cool visual to be able to put inside your listing presentation. And before I download it, Richard, what do you think of this? You got to come off mute though. I know you think it's awesome.
Can tell by this big smile.
And that's Richard.
There
There you
I
go.
there I go. There I go. This is actually something that I've been working with Luke on for a while, so I'm thrilled to see this finally going live. Those of you that have come to stat presentations over the years that I used to do with the Chartmaster, if you're not aware, Chartmaster is going away, and a lot of the key slides to that are transitioning over here. What you're going to see in the next short while with individual price points in each category will take us right back to where we were with the slides that you were using. But this, to me, has always been the accumulation of the entire presentation that we used to do, is being able to show a seller specifically the difference. I'm going to price your house $50,000 less than you think you should, but at the end of the day, you're going to end up making more money. What's more important for you? It's the ego of pricing it at the million, or the reality of, do you want to make $50,000 more?
Yes, spot
And
on.
right, people don't consider all the carrying costs, and carrying costs in Florida can be huge. To give you an example, Matt, the examples you came out with, taxes and insurance, that number would be there for taxes and it would be there for insurance. Double that number, that's another $12,000 that goes in their pocket, in a year of carrying the house. The more granular you can get on what their carrying costs are, and these are numbers you can ask them, so you're not making it up. You're actually getting your seller to put skin in the game with the information they're giving you. Makes it harder for them to disagree with it at the end.
Love that. Richard, thank you for your work on that. Spot on. Rick, do you have anything to add before I move forward?
Just that, in uncertain markets, clarity becomes currency. And this allows data to support a position, not opinion. And so this is incredibly powerful, especially for a property that's vacant. I mean, this is just straight up cost. So it's one thing if they're owner occupied and don't know where they're moving and they're going to have to pay that to live there. But in many cases, there are properties that are sitting vacant, and this is you're just burning money by not playing the game, strategically to win.
Spot on, spot on. And by the way, you can go download this and throw it into your presentation slide right on the spot in the format you need. Big thanks to Luke and Richard for that. See,
Beautiful.
Paige, did you want to come off during the pricing conversation? I know you were so kind and raised your hand.
Well, you half answered my question, or three-quarters answered my question, is because these don't look like 8.5 by 11 printable. So when you showed that download presentation slide, is that going to automatically go to 8.5 by 11 scale?
So Paige, if you'll do me a favor, if you'll come in here and look at these and
Yeah.
say, hey, this works or it doesn't, and then this feedback loop right here goes to rickhellandassociates.com, and Rick, it goes to Luke, and Luke will add anything. That's the cool thing about this site is we have flexibility to adjust. So I need your feedback if it's the right size or not.
Okay, thank you. And can I just ask a little follow-up? Download consultation summary. Okay, so we can select the pages from the whole.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, you'll see it when you get in there. All right, so I just wanted to show you that so you'd have it, add a presentation. The other thing I'll add is if you didn't know, if you go click on here and put your profile in, you can click a little drop down and there's these buyer and seller guides that are now here, and they have seller guides in both English and Spanish moving forward. So if I just download and generate, there you go, generate it PDFs. Rick, did that come up or am I still on the other screen?
That was
You're
Frankie.
up.
That was Frankie in Spanish, by the way. I just wanted to translate for you.
Woo, woo. Got it.
That's
Yeah.
universal language.
Rick, Richard, did my screen change or am I still on the
It
set?
changed.
There, you've got the buying a home.
Yep. So this is pretty new, but not brand new. But you can make all this kind of your color scheme, etc. There's multiple options. Just wanted to put it in there so you guys could go check it out and give feedback on that feedback page. We welcome it. Okay.
Yeah. Here's one of the great uses of those guides. And I've been using them for Gail for a really long time. You can customize them with all your information on it. If you want something, if you're sitting in open house, you can print out those guides and you can have, and that's a giveaway to the people coming into your open house. One of the uses of them, you can email those to prospective clients. It's some really good, valuable information in there.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. You guys ready to jump to the articles?
Let's go.
All right. So, Richard, I'm going to let you take number one here, which is Live Local 4.0.
Yeah.
And I'll let you kind of lead the way on this conversation.
Okay. You give me the political one. Okay.
He's not a dummy.
Yeah. Before I get into what this is really about, like so many headlines that we read today, the politics always comes into play. And this is one, depending which side you're on, it's great or it's going to create problems down the road. Put all that aside and just look at what the purpose of this was. This is DeSantis's way of trying to create more opportunity for affordable housing in Florida. It does things like church-owned properties. They're now giving the opportunity to churches to be able to take some of their land to build affordable housing, where in the past, because of zoning laws by municipalities, they weren't allowed to do that. Somewhat of the same thing with agricultural land. It's industrial land as well. They're doing away with some of the restrictions that the local municipalities were putting on land use. Now, going back, one of the problems with this is, as you're all familiar with, the saying, not in my backyard. And municipalities never wanted affordable housing because it was always looked at who lives in affordable housing. Well, affordable housing today is really a whole lot of your white collar workers as well. With housing prices gone up the way they are, there's no place for the workers in the hotels, the workers in the businesses, the people that come and provide services for you to have to live. In Miami, we used to joke that, as they built high-end homes in Miami Beach or downtown Miami, everybody had to move to Hialeah. Well, Hialeah is not affordable any longer. Where are those people going? So this bill is meant to turn around that trend. Now, the downside of it is, municipalities are losing the ability to restrict what they want in their neighborhoods to create a cohesive community. That's the positive. That's the negative of it.
I love it. Richard, great job. Rick, pressure's on you. How do you describe this law to a client in one or two sentences without getting stuck in the legal detail of it all?
I mean, if folks can't come do the day-to-day work in your community, you're going to have a shortage of capacity to perform in the collective. So I don't know that, honestly, I don't know that you have to explain this to a client unless they hit you with the question. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just the evolution of the conversation around how do you create inclusive energy in a community. I do know where I live part-time in Marco Island, there are a lot of people, the workforce travels in some cases from Fort Myers, and folks don't make it on a given day. And it's a cog in the wheel. And, they've created an affordable housing strategy on the island, which kind of surprised me because it's so dense already. But at the end of the day, everyone deserves opportunity. And, I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yep. Yeah, this is, different than what DeSantis is proposing that'll be on the ballot this November about property taxes. This has already passed. And this passed with near unanimous votes in both the House and the Senate. Total bipartisanship here. No, there really was no political discussion. And it's not something that the average individual is going to be concerned with at all. It's just a law that went into effect. And I can tell you from talking to people, they don't read the news for this type of thing. So it can affect us down the road with affordable housing being built, but there's no impact that I see with conversations we're going to be having today.
Well done. Well done, Richard. Thank you. All right, we're going to go to the next article. So if you didn't know, mortgage rates reached around 6.85, 6.9 recently. So highest level since 2026. Rates are higher than they've been all year again. And I thought it'd be important. The article here is real estate always has a new crisis. How top leaders, how top agents stay ahead. Right. So if you've been around long enough in the industry, there's always a crisis happening. And this article goes in, I'm going to let Rick speak to a little bit, but how confidence doesn't necessarily mean certainty. So what does that mean? Basically, agents feel a lot of times that if you walk in with the answers, you will do just fine in everything. And you have to have all the answers before you go and get confident in what you're doing in this industry. And I'm here to tell you, just from my brief experiences, you're never going to have all the answers. I think the two gentlemen here would agree with me. Things are always changing. Things are always evolving. It also talks about real estate is a little bit like a Chicken Little business. Every cycle brings a new this will end real estate journey. And I think we've all heard the dooms and gloom of that. And then stop calling yourself a salesperson. But I'll be quiet. I'll let Rick, who's an expert at the mindset piece, speak to the long game of mindset for real estate agents and how to handle disruption.
Well, to me, I think the secret sauce is that no one denies their own truth. And so when you tell people something or you try to impress them with your fact-based knowledge, sometimes you create resistance instead of alignment because you cause them. And in some cases, you may reveal a potential issue that's not an issue for them. So coming in all knowing could be a flaw in the plan, usually is. I know when I started out new, and there probably are some newer agents on the call, I was terrified of not being perfect and not knowing. And what I quickly learned is that not knowing creates vulnerability and some authenticity that's actually attractive. The secret sauce is you've got to have access to the correct answer when there's a challenge ahead. And the only way I knew to do that was to say, listen, I know what I know what I don't. And my commitment to you as your representative is not to confuse the two.
So good.
And my commitment is also that if there's something I don't know, I'm going to hit the pause button and we're going to find an expert in that subject matter to make sure that we get the exact perfect answer. And these are things, especially when it came to structural material defects, legal issues, zoning matters, floods and water and intrusion, things that just highly circumstantial. And you don't really want your opinion attached from a liability perspective, but you do want your expertise attached to the outcome. And I just found it an easier conversation. Now, having said that, I think the more informed you are and the better the questions you can, we try to, again, it's real important to solve the right problem. And the right problem is in the eyes of your client, not necessarily what you expose. And I hope that makes sense. But I love this statement again. I said it earlier, and I don't want you to miss it. It came out of one of the articles today. In uncertain markets, clarity becomes currency. And it doesn't mean that you know everything. It's that you have the ability to accurately listen and explain and show the path to where the solution lives.
Really good. Richard, would you add anything from that article?
No, I think Rick did a great job of summing it up. This is, I've been in the business as long as Rick has, and it's, guys, it's always about doing the right thing for your client and getting the information that your client needs. Too many times you end up just spewing a whole lot of stuff that they're not interested in. And a lot of times it's going to be wrong. And that's what gets you into trouble is you're speaking. And I'm dealing with this all the time. When you speak in place of your client to somebody else while you're negotiating, that's where you get into trouble. Your conversation always should be, my seller, my buyer has told me this or instructed me to come back with this. It's not your opinion. When was the septic tank pumped out? That's a great question. Let me contact the seller and see what I can find for you.
Yeah.
That's
really good, Richard. The article is very points out multiple times that the most confident person doesn't always have the answers, and they're confident in knowing that they don't know the answers. And I think that's such a good point because many times the pressure is we have to be all things to everyone. And as Rick said, something about authenticity and humility, treating yourself as a professional. You know what you know, and you know what you don't know, and you're very clear about that and open.
Yeah. And I used to use the term, would you be offended if, as a preemptive statement to going to do further research to confirm the exact answer. I'm pretty sure I can get us close, but I think this warrants a deep dive. Would you be offended if I called a couple of experts and we cycle back to this with more context?
Great script.
Guys, on your contracts, there's actually a paragraph there that says, please be aware, I am a real estate professional. I'm not an attorney, an accountant, an environmentalist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Pay attention to that. Stop stepping outside your boundaries of what it is you're supposed to do. But make your client feel comfortable, as Rick said, that you can go out and get them the correct information that they need.
You should, if I could add thank you, Richard, and you're spot on. The would you be offended if works, by the way, because it's a no answer to a yes question, and people are wired for no answers. From 3 years old on, we're wired to say no. So would you be offended if? And the answer is like, well, no, I wouldn't be offended. And so it's an easy bridge to the next level of detail to help make sure that you have the exact right answer, supported by a professional in their field.
Really good sales language there.
Great.
Really good. Okay. All right. I'm going to go to the last article here of the day, guys, which with the article's titled The Real Estate Agent Participation Crisis Nobody Wants to Talk About. So we're going to talk about it. That's what we do here and go against the grain. So this article really just goes into, honestly, agents saying what they want and what they don't want. And it talks about, a lot of agents we hear want mentorship and culture and accountability, but we get it. Then we skip the calls or we don't show up, etc. And it's basically saying the agents who consistently show up are the ones that are growing fastest. And I know this group knows this because they're on a Monday 9 a.m. call, but they don't believe it's because not because attendance alone works, but because it creates proximity to leadership and opportunity. Rick, speak to proximity and why being around other people consistently in this industry, especially in our field, is so important in a world and industry that honestly preaches and goes against that with isolation.
Well, I believe success leaves clues, and it's really that simple. And the more often you're shoulder to shoulder, face to face, and with people who are taking advantage of mixed markets, the more likely you are to adopt and adapt to behavior that's more functionally helpful. It's really that simple. And it's not just knowledge and not just behavior and activity, it's energy. Energy is contagious. Great energy is super contagious. So's negative energy. And so we get to choose, whether we hang out with lifters or leaners, which is a term I like. I believe Sean Rawls may have brought that to the table in his book. And I want to be around lifters. It just builds energy and confidence that we can all do this together. And we're unstoppable as a collective.
Love it.
And
Richard.
and Rick, that is a great way to sum up why you should be going to things like Mega Camp, which is coming up in 3 weeks, or Family Reunion. Why you should be coming to the quarterly presentation that Matt's doing on August 6th down here. The more you get out and put yourself into environments of like-minded people, the more you're going to grow from it.
Yeah. And be careful with the language you use. I was teaching last week and I asked the question, is the current market worse or more difficult than 2009, 10, and 11? And the answer was almost a unanimous, it's worse. And I was taken aback because back then there were 75% defaults and foreclosures in our market, and only a handful of agents controlled the listing inventory. I mean, I could give you a dozen reasons why I think it was far worse, but you have to be careful. The language you use is the language you live. And if that's your language, it's an uphill battle, both sides of the equation, both going and coming. And so if your tribe says it's harder, it is harder. I'm not suggesting, by the way, for a second that it's easy, but I would recommend you reframe that there are no good or bad markets, just markets. I would also recommend you find people that are winning in this market and adopt behavior that supports winning in the current scheme. And I see the data. The top 10, 15, 20% are making as much or more than ever, and somebody's having their best year ever. If it's to be, why not me? Is sort of the mindset I live in. And I would recommend adopting that as a strategy and a mindset decision. If it's been done before, it can be done again. And if you plant the right seeds today, you'll bear fruit later. If you sit back waiting for the market to turn, at some point it will turn, but you won't be braced and ready. I'll add one more layer of thought that I had this morning in posturing a response to this question that Matt thankfully fed me in advance, is that some of us are stepping over dollars, chasing pennies, and your Met database is golden. And if you read the MREA book, 12 to 2 is the ratio of conversion you should be, seeking. For every 12 people in your Met database that you put on a 39 or 36 touch, you should generate 2 pieces of business. It should be 1 referral and 1 sale. And if you're not achieving that, gamify this approach. Recognize, okay, it's either my message or method, my conversion, or the quality of my database, and then make building your database the mission. It's a leading indicator that wins. In other words, how many people can you add to your database that regardless of your conversion, you win? Does that make sense? And so if you need another 100 people in your database in the next 12 months, divide 100 into 12 months, or 120, make it 10 a month. I mean, that's not an impossible feat. And know that in a year, you've now planted seeds, watered and fertilized a fruit tree that's going to bear fruit. If you wait 12 months for the market to turn where it's easy again, you'll forfeit a tremendous advantage. And it's only a matter of time before the market evolves and cycles in and out. Those that go silent and sit quietly waiting, they tend to fall out of the industry. And markets are opening up. The harder it gets, one more piece of advice, the more challenging it gets, the fewer people are actively competing for opportunities to come in and steal people out of your database, and for you to, frankly, take people out of other people's database that aren't going to be in the industry in 12 months. And so recognize the opportunity today. It's a people puzzle, and go name by name. And I would challenge everyone to call every single person in their Met database and make sure you're connected in a meaningful and kind and caring way, and make it a game. How many people can you add to your database every single week for the next 12 months, and then be ready for opportunity and ask better questions?
So good. So good. Rick, I could listen to you all day. It is 9:30. Steve, I'm taking a chance here because you got your hand raised and Rick just dropped dimes everywhere. And I could leave this
Too
conversation
kind.
right now and feel really good. So Steve, it's on you here, man.
Okay, I'll wrap it up real fast. I love this article, and exactly what this article said is the truth. What people say they want isn't always what they show up to actually do and participate in. And because of that, I just want to make a shameless plug for this Wednesday as we're rolling out our coaching program in Coral Springs. So every single person that's here on the call that's not a capper should be in the room. Sorry, had to do it.
You had to do it. Love it.
Right.
Hey,
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, Richard, Rick, thank you for a great call. Guys, go out there and kill the week. We're so happy and so impressed and so grateful that you're in business with us. Y'all have a wonderful week. Take care.
Be good, everybody.
Thank you all.